Welcome to the Get Real Podcast, your high-octane boost of full-on reality therapy for personal, business, and investing success with your host, Ron Phillips, because somebody's got to tell it like it is.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Get Real Podcast. Ron Phillips, Heather Marchant here again.
Hello, everyone. Again, it keeps happening.
We're gonna have fun today. This is gonna be a fun show, I think, because we want to start out with, just thanking you guys once again for all the reviews. I mean, Heather and I were scrolling through them this morning. There are so many we were reading, and then Heather's like, "Man, we should share some of these. We really should." So, let's start the show today with just like sharing a little bit.
Yeah. The written reviews are really cool because getting a star rating is kind of fun, but it loses the personal feel that a comment does because, I mean, this client said, well, he's a client, but he's also a listener. He said, Ron and team always drop knowledge, so practical and real. He has been in the trenches and it shows. And I loved that because number one, we are all about being who we really are and being genuine and authentic in what we share and not sugarcoating, but also being in the trenches and understanding where people are coming from. And I think that's the human side of this podcast experience that we both have, Ron, that makes it really more meaningful than just talking about what you know, right? That you're talking to people who learn from this. Several of the comments said, I'm just getting started. I'm excited. And that listening to the podcast helps them stay focused on their goals of what they're trying to accomplish. So they listen to every single one. I mean, all that is just so fun. It makes it so that we like to come back. So we appreciate you guys sharing, and we'll start the show just reading one occasionally. And we really appreciate you guys. These comments, we get texts from our clients too, which is the part of the reason we keep doing what we do in our day job. I text people back after they text us, and sometimes we get them out of the blue, like years later. People will be like, "Man, we really appreciate you guys starting us off in this because now they have 15 units, and it's kind of changed the way they were thinking about things." You guys don't know how much that means. We tell you guys all the time, like make sure that you tell your property managers this stuff. And I mean, just share that with everybody. If your meal was good, tell them the meal was good. And, leave them a big tip because they've really gotten impacted by COVID. So anyway, that's a great way to start the day, which is a great segue into, I start my day every day lifting, Heather. And I know
Heather knows this. And so does she.
We are kindred spirits. Yeah.
By the way. Yeah. And I always set these really big goals. And I set some remarkably large goals this year. I've been at a mastermind. I've been traveling a little bit and, hanging around my business friends. And something struck me this week, and it ended up being true again today. And so I wanted to talk about that, not necessarily about why I thought about this, but so today was max day. Last Friday was max day for deadlift, and today was max day for bench press. And I started working out with a trainer like 4 weeks ago. So it's been about a month. It's time to like reassess where we're at, how we're doing on the goals. I'm proud to say that I'm doing really well with the goals. That was actually really fun. But it's funny because like all week, Heather was telling you this, that all week I had been thinking in my head, I think I could probably do about 30 pounds more than my previous deadlift max.
Which is a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge jump.
I go up 2.5 pounds usually when I'm trying.
No, it wasn't 30. It wasn't 30. It was, it was about 30 pounds. Anyway, 365 to 395 on deadlift. And I'm just all week, I'm really confident I can hit 395. And I was telling Heather earlier, I'm like, guess what I did? I picked up 395 pounds pretty easily. I mean, there was a little bit of a neurological stutter in the middle, but pretty easy, I thought, man, I bet I can get 405. And for all of you who don't lift and don't understand how the weights stack up, that's 4 plates, 45-pound plates, right? So 405 pounds on each side, which is a big deal, right? So when you go from 3 plates to 4 plates, it's a big deal. It's like a big celebration. So I throw 4 plates on, and I should be able to pick this up or at least move it. And when I was telling Heather earlier, I was like, it didn't move and it didn't come off the ground. The bar bent a little bit, and then my body was like, "No, we ain't gonna do that."
You didn't prepare us mentally for that, so we're out.
And that's what I thought. I was like, "Wow, that's crazy." You know, I thought I could do 395, and what did I end up doing? Exactly 395, not 1 pound more, just done, right? And then I thought to myself, "Wow, that's crazy." And then I buried that back in the back of my head. And all week, I really didn't think about the fact that today was bench press day, but I opened up my app. My trainer has it on there, go, get amped up. It's, it's 1 rep max day again. All week, I'm thinking to myself, I bet I can do 295. I'm pretty confident I can do 295. And so what do? Easily, I did 295. It was so easy. I thought, man, I bet I could do 315. And 315 is 3 plates for everybody who doesn't understand. It's 3 plates. And I'm like, holy crap, I could do 315. So I get the bar off, I lower the bar, and it kind of goes up a little bit, but I failed. And I was telling Heather, I'm like, man, how many times in life is that not true? Just 100% true in every aspect of our lives. We've had conversations like that over the years, just
all the
tons
time
of them.
Yeah. I do have one question though. Does someone spot you?
Yes. Well, not on deadlift.
Okay, so
There's nothing they can do, but but yes, I booked my son today and that's, yeah.
I was visualizing and I was like, wait a minute, what?
Wait a minute, I failed and how did you get it off of you? Yeah, no, I had somebody spot me.
Well, good, as long as safety first. Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's so easy to have those limiting beliefs that we don't even recognize they're there. And I think a lot of times it takes someone else to help you see that until you can become good enough to see it yourself. It's really hard to see limiting beliefs in yourself, which is why you got to surround yourself with good people, right? People that help you see a better version of yourself or help you push past the limiting beliefs.
100% agree. Could not agree more. Which is why I was at my mastermind group this week, because those people push me and they don't allow my BS to come in and go, they call me on it. And, I mean, it's really important to have somebody who will call you on your BS, who's not scared, and they'll just call it like it is. Right.
Yeah. As a business owner too, I think if you surround yourself with staff and don't encourage them to call you on your BS, I would imagine that it'd be real easy to not see it as well. That's one thing you've done in the culture of our company. You've said like, look, if I'm ever not living the core values, I want you to tell me.
Yeah,
right?
And,
I mean, you've said that.
And there've been a few times when people have called me on it, which is fun. I mean, that's actually really cool when someone can just step up and go, you know what? I don't think this really matches our core values. And then everybody can take a step back and go, huh, you know what? You got a point. You actually have a point. It doesn't. I was talking about that this week with folks in my mastermind group as to how people get so far off track. And I think it's because they don't have those core values that are instilled in everybody and no one calls them on their BS, right? So they can start to justify moving a little bit outside into the gray area. And, if you move just a few degrees, a year later, you're pretty off track and you can justify just about anything. But it's nice to have people around you, both on your team and off your team, who can go, really? Because that really doesn't match.
Yeah,
that happened at our mastermind group this week. One guy was up there and he was putting out his funnel, and there was one thing in his funnel, and we were all like everybody in the group was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, this and this, and I'm like, no, man, that's not congruent with who you are. He's like, he stopped for a second because in his mind these were 2 different tracks. And so they were separate, but in everyone else's mind looking at it, we were like, no, they're getting the same thing on both tracks. You can't do that. And he didn't mean to. It just, when you start drawing those big things out, as you know, Heather, because you've done marketing, they get complicated. And he just lost in the mix. And we were like, dude, you have to add something to this right here because they're paying the same thing, or they're getting the same thing and they're paying different prices. That's not congruent with who you are. And he immediately was like, you're right. I'll add some things to this. And it's good to have that because he didn't expect us to stop him, but we did.
That's a good point, Ron, because maybe some business owners, it's difficult to let your guard down with your people that you're surrounded by in the office and ask for feedback, but going to a mastermind then, right? With peers
Yeah.
who will call you on it.
I think it's
And
really
maybe it
important
could.
in your team, though.
I agree.
How in
I
the
just
world
don't
does
know
your
if some people can do it.
how does your team learn how to be a leader if you don't teach them how to be a leader?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where do they learn that? You have to be, and leaders listen more than they speak.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you know, some of the best ideas in the company come from the folks who are closest to the challenge, not
Yeah,
the people at the top of the company. Many
that's
times
really
that's the
true.
case.
They're in the trenches. That's a good point. Well, I was driving to this is the office where I record this out of with a fancy microphone and none of my kids running around. And I was driving here this morning and yesterday was my 15th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
Doug is the best, puts up with all of my craziness. But every time it's my wedding anniversary, I'm reminded that the following day is the anniversary of how long I've worked with you, Ron. And I always have that reflection every time, this same day that we're recording. So we're recording this on May 6th. So every time May 6th comes around, I'm like, man, it's been this many years, right? So today it's 14 years since I first
Come on,
started
somebody.
working, right?
Can we get a hallelujah
It's
for
a long
Heather?
time. It's
Good
a long
Lord,
time.
that's a long time.
Yeah. But I sat and reflected, and many of my clients know this, but probably not all of our listeners, that I started at the front desk. So I was hired as, oh man, what was my title? Director of
Director of
First
Impressions.
First Impressions. Which,
Man, we should I don't know
yeah.
what you do. You go to Vegas when you do the exact same thing? I don't know. Same time? Yeah.
I just remember going, so what exactly do you want me to do as the director of First Impressions? But really, in a lot of ways, I was the office manager and event planner is really what it was. But I was reflecting on starting at that point and all of the growth and mindset changes I've had to go through over these last 14 years. And it's a lot. I mean, starting at the front desk and moving through so many seats, I've sat in almost every seat in a company that does what we do, right? It's
Yep. Literally sat in almost every seat.
Yeah, just not yours, I think. Or
Yeah,
I
but
guess
I mean,
bookkeeping.
I mean, pretty much. Yeah, but you're involved with the bookkeeping too. So I mean,
Yeah, that's
you may
true.
not key in the data, but we go over the books
Yeah.
together. So
That's true.
you're involved in literally every aspect of it, and you're involved in all of the visionary planning meetings too. So
Yeah, that's true.
You've literally done every single seat in the company. It's impressive. It doesn't seem like 14 years. It seems like it's.
Mm-mm.
I mean, man, that's a long
It's true.
time.
The only time it feels like 14 years to me, Ron, is when I recognize how much I know, which sounds really, I don't know, arrogant, but I will spout off information to like our transaction coordinator, Lacey, or something. And I sometimes I think to myself, how do I know all this stuff? Like,
yeah,
it's weird.
Thousands of files and
Yes.
14 years later. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing what we talk about this all the time. It's really hard to take what's in your brain and put it and help someone else get it. There's this experience that comes just from being around that many deals and that many challenges and all of the growth that's happened. My gosh, over
Yeah.
the 14 years, there have been a lot of changes.
For sure.
Holy cow. I mean, a pretty sizable business, a complete reset, start over again, grow it from zero. Man, babies in the NICU,
Yeah, that's
college, all kinds of things.
That's true. Yeah, my husband got a graduate degree. I mean, when I first met you, Ron, I had no children for like several years. So I call it when Doug and I were single, is what I call it. We were
Right.
married with no kids for several years. So a couple of things that what you said kind of tie in really well with this is when I first started working with you, I kind of dreaded public speaking. I would like get really sweaty and nervous.
Yeah, that's not really true.
Yeah,
You were
I hit it
scared
really well.
to death. It was
I thought
not.
you were going to say I hit it really well. I'm like, I hit it really well.
No,
Ron.
no. Heather
Thanks,
was literally scared to death of public speaking. I mean, so this is the Get Real show, Heather. You You can't come in saying, I'm sorry, she's choked up, folks. I made her
I
like
coughed.
spit laugh, whatever it was she was drinking.
Yeah, I just had some water. Sorry, went down the wrong pipe because you made me laugh.
Oh boy.
Good thing for the
so
mute button, friends.
deathly scared of public speaking. And how did we cure that?
Practice. And I think you gave me small opportunities and that were easy to swallow, right? It wasn't all of a sudden, hey, Heather, why don't we record a 30-minute podcast, right? It was small little things gradually over time to build my confidence. But I also knew you had confidence in me, right? I was kind of really intimidated by you at the time, but that you had confidence in my ability and showed me that. And I remember several conversations. I don't even remember the details of the conversations, but several conversations where you would build me up in a kind way to just say, I think you totally can do this, Heather. You're already doing it. It's natural for you. And not necessarily even specifically about public speaking, but I do love people. That's the ironic part. I love people. I love working with people. I love helping people. But for some reason, getting up in front of a group of people was like totally different, right? So you would remind me of those things, right? Well, Heather, you can talk to people so it's slow, confident building and showing your confidence in me and my abilities allowed me to open my mind to other possibilities and doing other things, which I think is so amazing in a work environment because normally we want to be I feel like in the corporate structure, at least, you want to be head above other people, right? You want to be seen as better than your peers. You want to stand out. My dad came from the corporate world, so I would hear a lot about that, putting other people down when they made mistakes. And that's just not the culture that we had. It was more of, and still is, building people up and helping them see their potential.
Yeah. I mean, our purpose is through service, we build people. And so we try to live that internally, but we also try to live that externally too. And I think that's one of the things really is that we were just giving you the opportunity to do that externally, outwardly.
Yeah.
Face the exterior and still serve and build those people up with the knowledge that you'd gained over many, many years of, and before you started doing that, you had a deep knowledge of these things. You knew this stuff front and back. So it wasn't like you could get up there and someone knew more than you because they didn't, right? They generally came to learn.
You would tell me that actually. You would say, Heather, you know more than them. So don't let it intimidate you, that you're meeting with someone who is wealthy, right? When my husband was a graduate student and I felt inadequate. And you would say, they're coming to you for information that you have, Heather. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So lots of small little conversations. There wasn't this like one defining moment like in the movies where all of a sudden I was ready and going to move forward and do something different. So I remember specifically moving into the marketing position. You hired basically a replacement for me and you said, I think you'd be really good at this. And you pulled me aside along with other people in the company too. So it wasn't just you, but you just said, we have confidence in you and we think you'll be really good at it. And we think you're natural at it. And I'm like, I don't have a marketing degree. What are you talking about? I always had that inadequacy that I also really had to lean on the confidence of other people, including my husband, who was always really confident in my ability too. So,
well, and it's really, really important to find that wherever you are. So if you're an owner of a company or entrepreneur out there and you feel alone, seek out a place where you can get what Heather's talking about. That's why I go to the groups that I go to. It's really important because I need the same thing. Heather's not alone, right? And that was the point of what I was talking about earlier, is that it's our brains.
Yeah.
It's our limiting beliefs that stop us from achieving anything more. It's not that we can't do it. It's not that I couldn't pick up the 405 pounds. It's 10 pounds more. There's no way.
Even move it though. That's the funny part, that you couldn't move it.
That was completely mental, completely mental. Right. And this morning, that weight went off my chest. It was probably 5 inches up. And then my brain just said, nah, we didn't plan for this. I mean, the transition point into me being able to actually lock that thing out, I was there. That's something that's both frustrating. It can do one of two things, right? I could go, well, crap, I failed. I could focus on the fact that I failed, or I can say, okay, I did 295 really easy. I should have been able to get 315. I'm going to reset. So it may be 3 or 4 weeks before I get to do that again, before my coach actually has it inside of my training regimen, but I'm going to lift more than 315 next time. I guarantee you that. And I'm reset. So I think one of the things you've been talking about this whole time is like, there has to be a reset or we don't grow.
Yeah.
We have to be able to reset. And I remember I said this, I was talking about this in my mastermind group this weekend. We were all in there. We're all talking about all of our challenges. And it just struck me as funny that we're talking about these challenges when all of us are so blessed. I mean, everybody in that room makes a lot of money. There's just a lot of money in that room. I stopped and I just said, look, I remember when my wife and I would sit down and we were just like, man, I can't wait till I can make 50,000 a year.
Yeah.
And somebody listening may be thinking that right now. Like, if I could just make 50, life would be different. And guess what? When we hit 50, it was different.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, I can make 50,000. But wouldn't it be cool if I could make 100? And then I was like, when we finally hit 6 figures, I was like, huh, okay. I mean, there was literally nothing stopping me from making 6 figures when I made $50,000. There's literally nothing stopping somebody who's making $250,000 from making $500,000 or $1 million, other than what you believe you can make happen.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing inside of a company. There's nothing stopping you from, if you want to, from moving inside of a company where, I guess, where they allow you to, up through the ranks and learning all of this really cool stuff. And if you're a business owner and you're not allowing your people to do that, well, then you're a fool, because if you don't let them, they will leave so that they can progress. Everybody wants to progress. Nobody wants to get capped.
It's so true. Those are the businesses that have the high turnover, when there's no potential to move. I mean, just in the last year, I've been like, man, I've done so many residential single family things that I want to move on and understand commercial better on. I'm like, I want to learn. I don't want to stay stuck in doing what I'm doing just because I'm good at it. I want to learn more. And so I think that's how I'm built as well. I'm not content to just stay stuck in that. But I think most people are that way. Like you said, very few people aren't ambitious enough to want to grow and learn. I remember when I moved and did transaction coordination and escrow and things like that for files, I remember feeling very inadequate then. And I'd worked at the company, like 5 years or 6 years. And I went, I don't know how to do this. And again, I was just taking a step outside, being willing to try, being willing to fail. Like, I make mistakes. That's a culture that we have too, that when someone makes mistakes, I mean, we own it. We own the mistake, but it's not this never ending, people mocking you or anything like that. It's
as a matter of fact, everybody consolidates around whoever it is that did and picks them up.
Yeah.
And that, because look, the first time I did public speaking, I'm very confident that I sucked, but nobody told me that I sucked. Everybody told me I did a great job. But if you compared, if we had a tape of that as compared to some of my more recent ones, we wouldn't even be the same on the same wavelength. It would be completely different. And it's the same thing with you. I mean, the first time you spoke as compared to you being able to now fly around and speak wherever, and sometimes we come unprepared, and we prepare really quickly before we come on, and to be able to just speak from knowledge is really powerful, which is completely different than when you started speaking, from when I started speaking, or in any other position that we've had. And I think it's really, really important that everybody out there understand that this transcends business. This is in every aspect of our lives. We have self-limiting caps that we put on, and those caps, because they're self-imposed, can be removed very easily by us. No one else is going to remove them. Now, if you get around the right support team, the support team will help you realize you've got a cap put on yourself. But they still can't take it off. I think I was very clear one time on one of the podcasts when I was talking about coaching in the group that I have, that it took me like 2.5 years to start that group. And I would go to my mastermind group and they're like, hey man, when are you gonna start your coaching group? And I'm like, yeah, probably this, it's probably this quarter. But the reality of the situation is the reason I didn't start it was because I felt inferior to be able to coach business owners, in spite of the fact that the people in the mastermind group I was in were like, dude, you would rock at this.
Yeah.
And you're going to really enjoy it.
Yeah.
But just like you said, Heather, I mean, I had never done it. And I was scared of failing. I was scared of failing those people, most importantly.
Yeah.
But it has been so much fun. It's a blast coaching business people, because for the most part, business people, they're really coachable. I mean, they want to do better. And so it's fun to coach them because every time I see them, they're doing better things. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that is awesome.
So literally in every aspect of our lives, we impose these things on ourselves, and it's really unfortunate. It's really too bad. And
yeah, and I think oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that probably the most unfortunate thing is when it gets imposed for you by a business owner or a manager. That is a real shame.
Yeah, that's true. I was recalling how you'd had several conversations with me too about income level, which you mentioned disparately, but about how I remember you said to me, what if, Heather, what if you made 6 figures? And I was like, what? Like, I do this part-time. Like, are you kidding me? That's not realistic. Or almost like I don't deserve it, which is like, I don't deserve it because I work from home. I work part-time. Right. And I remember when I had 4 kids at home reaching well over 6 figures and going, he was right. Like, just because of my circumstances of where I work, or if I work when my children are napping or whatever, that's been really unique to our company, is how many women with young children work on our staff and work kind of some sporadic hours. Sometimes
almost everybody.
Yeah. And the sporadic hours, only occasionally have we had to go, they're not available, or their kid's sick, or they have a program at school, or they're volunteering at the school, or something like that, or a doctor's appointment. But all of us are on the same team, and we all understand, and we're committed to family first. And so we've created a culture that you can be successful no matter your circumstances, and that the income level, you're not capped in that aspect just because, at the time, like back then, before my husband was working, I was home with the kids full time. Yep. And I had, a little bit of help from my mom and stuff. But I mean, that's, I guess, a message for maybe women that are in that same position that feel capped, or that they can't do something, that I was shocked that I could do it.
And let me just state this, because I'm not sure that we have on any of the episodes, but I think this is really important, since you were just speaking to women in your situation. While I'm not a woman and I can't completely comprehend, I have seen this many times, because we do have a very female heavy team, and every one of them is a stay-at-home mom, like is a mom that generally speaking is at home, right? I think that one of the things that, if there's something that is self-imposed from the women, it is that they feel like they can't make calls because their children are loud, or a baby's crying, or that may happen. Because I mean, I have 3 kids, so I know that occasionally there's some Tourette scream that comes that nobody was thinking was going to happen. Because I've been on business calls, and I'm at home and kids start screaming. There's nothing you can do about that except for step into the next room and go, hey, that was my kid. Yeah, just fell and smashed his face on the floor. My wife's got him. It's all good. But sorry about that if your ear is, if your eardrum's broken. But I think, speaking to the women out there who feel like that is something that holds them back, I would tell you that most people super okay with the fact that you are owning that you're a mother and you're staying home and that you're making things happen regardless. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that, Heather, but I've found that not to be, shouldn't be a stumbling block for any woman who has kids.
I've embraced it in the last probably 3 years. Before then, oh my gosh, I remember a couple of times literally shutting my bedroom door and locking it, walking into my closet and locking it. My kids were safe, but they were fighting and they were mad at each other. And I was like, I'm almost finished with this call. I don't want them to know that I'm at home. I remember doing that and going, this is ridiculous. And you said those same things you just said, like, Heather, it makes you human. Like, if nothing else, people are going to respect you, that you're making it happen and you're successful and you're at home with your kids. And for the most part, I didn't do calls when they were around because I wanted to be present, but sometimes I just couldn't avoid it. And so I embraced it. And now if my child comes in the room, it's happened on Zoom meetings and
multiple Zoom
where my 4-year-old will come in and hopefully not say something totally embarrassing about the toilet or anything. But I've just had to say, yeah, this is my 4-year-old. I'm at home and I'm so blessed that I get to be at home and do what I love and love on my kids. Like, I could come and sit in this office and work every day, but I usually choose not to. I love that my son can come in and tell me about his day at preschool, and I'll say, okay, mom's working. I need you to go to dad or whatever. But I love that he gets to check in with me. And I've had to just accept the fact that if people don't honor that, then they're not meant to work with me. And that's only happened one time. And I referred the man to work with another man in our office. I said, hey, you know what? I understand this isn't working for you, that you hear background noise. He kept saying, can you focus right now? Can you even hear what I'm saying? Can you focus right now?
See, and I would have just fired him, but Heather's maybe a bigger person than me and passed him out to somebody else in the company. I would have just said, you know what? I actually can't focus. Maybe you should call our competitor. Here you go. And the reason I can't focus is because you're being a jerk. But yeah, I mean, that happened one time out of hundreds of interactions. Well, interactions, thousands of interactions with people. So if you're out there listening and you thought that was something that would hold you back from becoming an entrepreneur or doing something very similar to what Heather and everybody else on our team does. I mean, our escrow coordinator, who we're going to bring on so you guys can meet her, Lacey, Jackie, who you've met, Christina, Natalie, who else? I'm forgetting.
Did you say Courtney?
Courtney.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Yeah.
They all do different things. They all interact with, our customers and our sellers and everybody else on a professional level. And they all have kids at home. I just think, and maybe we've beaten this horse enough, but if you are, do not let that stop you, because 90% or more of the people you interact with won't care.
It's true. That's just a limiting belief, right? It's, well, I can't because, right? So it's something that I look at and say, man, someday my kids are going to recognize that what I was able to do and still be a mom and be present with my kids. And sure, there were not glamorous moments. And sure, I had to say, hey, you're having TV time. But for the most part, it's worked. So many times I've sat at the park with my computer. I said, hey, go play. I got my laptop and I'm at the park with my sunglasses and I'm getting work done. Well, I know they're safe and playing. I limit TV time in my house to 90 minutes a day. So working full time, and 90 minutes goes by real fast. So I have to be creative and pivot. And so, but it's worked for our family. I'm not saying it has to work for everybody, but it was a limiting belief for me for sure, that I had to just embrace, this is the path I wanted to choose. I could have done daycare and that's not the path I wanted to choose. So yeah, man, that was a long diatribe about that, but I am passionate about it.
Guys, I'm really passionate about it too. I just, we had a women's charity before, women and children, especially women and children who are underprivileged or in some way have been told that they couldn't or they weren't good enough. Yep, pretty passionate about that. And so if someone is listening and you're in that category, there's no limits. Heather is a perfect example. There's no limits, and kids are not a limiting factor. They're just not.
Yeah.
So find somebody who believes in that. And I know several business owners who believe that, and they're out there. You just got to find them who will work with you and allow you to be able to grow and make a lot of money for your family and change your family's life and grow, which is the most important thing, right?
Yeah. I'll mention one more thing. Sorry, we're probably going long on this one, but
It's Heather's episode, everybody. So since it's Heather's episode, we can go long if we want. Cool.
My son is 11 and he's very into theater. And I've been nervous about he's going to go through a voice change here pretty soon. And he has a fantastic singing voice and sings, Ron knows, all day.
All the time.
And sometimes from his bed at night. And I have to tell him to stop singing. And he's been that way since he was 2, just nonstop, right? He's been really anxious and upset that his voice is going to change. And I've told my husband, I said, we need to do something and help him find something that he's good at and really good at before that happens, just in case. Because I've known some boys that's been devastating. And so I went to Ron. You probably don't know the backstory about it, Ron, but I went to Ron and I said, hey, can I have the company pay him to do some video editing? He has spent a ton of time learning how to do it, and he's pretty good at it. And so it's built his confidence in doing something else. And now I'm putting him through an animation course because we need to make some animated videos, and building people and seeing their potential and helping them grow in a way that is going to help them in the future. There's nothing quite so rewarding. I mean, more rewarding, I think, in a lot of ways than making money is watching other people grow.
Way more. So, it's the funnest thing ever. As a matter of fact, people at the mastermind, they were like, Ron, why do you like, because from an income perspective, my coaching group is, I mean, it's really not that much money, right? And, we actually went over our business visions and kind of, shared some things with each other. And that was one of the things. They're like, man, why do you like doing that so much? It's like, you don't make hardly any money doing that. And I'm like, it really isn't about the money. It's not about the money. It is absolutely a blast watching people like improve over 3 months time. And I get to talk to them every month. I see what's happening in their lives. It is a blast to watch that. Yeah. You're 100% right, Heather. It really doesn't have anything to do with the money. Just comes from, it's through service we build people, not through service we make money. Right.
And
the money just comes. We just seem to do really well when we focus on that. And when we focus on money, we seem to not do so hot. So service is the key. And yes, building people up is it's just one of the most fun things you can possibly do. And no, I didn't know the backstory on that, but that's really cool. Because we did do that. That's really cool. I hope
for those who watch the edited videos know my 11-year-old did it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's one of the first things I think we're going to charge money for. And he did it. That's pretty cool. That's really, really cool. Well, listen, happy 14th anniversary day.
Thank you.
With RP Capital. That's awesome. Man, that's a long time. And I hope that everybody out there, if you're a business owner, I hope you understand. I hope you figured out through everything that we just talked about that if you want people to be on your team for a long time, you have to treat them right and you have to give them the opportunity to grow or they will leave you, period. Right. And second, I hope that if you are a person who is limiting themselves, which is probably everybody listening, I'd be shocked if someone out there thinks they're not. And if you don't, then that just means you don't know what you don't know. You're limiting yourself. So stop it. And at least move the bar. So today when we sign off and we say, now get out there and make something happen, that should be the thing you make happen this week. You should raise the bar. You just should.
Yeah, I agree. And spend a minute bettering yourself so that you can even recognize what those limiting beliefs are. If you listen to this and have no idea what yours are, then I'm trying to think of a book, Ron, that has been helpful to me in this because there's been so many, but just 4 Agreements comes to mind, but getting aware of how you hold yourself back. So
it's really sad how we do it. And what's more sad, again, going back to people holding other people down, that happens so much that it takes nearly no effort to lift someone up. So this week, as you're removing the limits from yourself, go ahead and take them off of somebody else too. Show them that they're better than they think that they are. And watch what happens. Watch what happens. And then think about how you feel about what just happened. And then just keep doing it. It's the most amazing thing. They don't have to work for you.
Yeah.
You know, help your friends, help somebody else. If you see somebody doing something that was a really good job, tell them that they did a great job. I'm telling you, the more you do this, the better your life will be, the more you will grow, the more you'll see the caps you're putting on yourself, the more you'll be able to remove them from yourself, and you'll continue to see the good and what is better in other people. I'm telling you. So everybody should send Heather a congratulatory email if you've got. Yeah, just flood the invest at rpcinvest.com. Isn't that what it is, Heather? Invest at RPC Invest?
Yes.
Yeah. Just flood it with congratulations, Heather, because this is a huge deal. It should all be congratulations, Ron, because she's stayed for 14. It should be congratulations, Ron.
And the culture you've created, which I think is a catalyst. So,
and I meant that as congratulations, Ron, because I've been blessed to have her stay for 14 years, not in any other way. So thank you, Heather, for being a part of the team for 14 years and for making this show so cool, because we actually do have plenty of people on here. Heather and Ron are awesome.
Yeah.
I'd like to point out that they said Heather first.
And I'm not even sweating, you guys. That's a big deal.
All right. So this week, guys, if you like the podcast, share it, please. That's one of the things that you can do to really help us out. Love that you guys are leaving a review. So leave us some more. We'll share yours on here as we move forward. And just like every week, this week you've got your marching orders. Get out there and make something happen.
Thanks, guys.
This has been the Get Real Podcast. To subscribe and for more information, including a list of all episodes, go to getrealestatesuccess.com.